When Joshua Buatsi and Callum Smith came together on Saturday, February 22nd, on the undercard of the last Crescendo, they were two men who were opening up the pay-per-view card event. That lets you know the depth of the card itself. These two men could have easily been a headlining fight, especially in the UK, because between the two of them, this was all about pride and country. And both men had something to prove. And boy, did they put on a show for the boxing viewers. Let's talk about these men and what they were able to achieve on that night. When Joshua Buatsi and Callum Smith came together, it was like everything that Pride and Glory could be about when these two fighters from the UK faced one another. In the case of Smith, a former world title holder, he was looking to get back into the mix of things in contention for a possible another title shot. Buatsi, who has yet to either accept or go for a title shot, had something to prove because Smith was going to be his actual step up fight. So in this instance, it meant that you had two men who were vying for different opportunities, but at the same time willing to put it on the line. Because when you participate in a Riyadh season event, those events are highly competitive and someone is going to suffer a setback. And the two of these men showed everything that they are made of in boxing. In the case of Smith, who's 34 years of age, he did show a little bit of wear as far as his age, but Buatsi is only a couple of years younger than he, because Smith is 34 years old. His record now is 31-2 with 22 KOs after his victory over Joshua Buatsi, a unanimous decision in a closely competitive fight that both men had moments, but it was Smith's experience overall that led him to the decision. There were moments in this fight that Buatsi, who now has his record dropped to 19-1 with 13 KOs, he found himself in the thick of things, dealing with tremendous body shots that Mundo was putting on him. It was crazy. Some of those shots were so debilitating. Just like in the Zhang versus Cabiel fight, Mundo was pounding Joshua to the body, and it was amazing that he was able to stand up to some of that body work. Now, neither guy fancied the jab very much to put them in a place of safekeeping and everything. And I don't know what it is about these younger fighters of today. They do not stick to the boxing basic principles. If you can dine by getting in good body work and you can set your opponent up, always mix that jab in there enough so that it changes the course of what they are on the receiving end of. In the case of Buatsi, he wanted to get close to Mundo and just try to bang it out with him. But Mundo is a better inside fighter than Buatsi, and Buatsi found that out the hard way. You see, the two of them have fought the type of opposition that is going in different direction. For example, Willie Hutchinson in September of 2024 was Buatsi's last opponent, and he won a split decision against Hutchinson. But prior to that, his most competitive fight was against Craig Richards in May of 2022. And I thought that that was a fight that he could have lost the decision, but they gave it to him unanimously because Richards is a good UK boxing fighter. In the case of Mundo, in January of 2024, he lost by TKO stoppage to Artur Beterbiev. And that's nothing to hang your head, because Beterbiev has cut through the likes of a lot of fighters in his division. But it was also fights against Saul Canelo Alvarez, John Ryder, and Gilbert Castillo Rivera that gave him competitive matches where his skills could show. You know, Mundo has a tremendous left hook. And when he throws that left hook, he's able to throw it and land it and hurt people. I believe that in the instance of facing the fighter that Buatsi spent a great deal of time trying to prove he's tough and he could take it and not show enough ring smarts that he can win it. You see, the objective is not to take it, huh? The objective is to hit and not be hit. You got to be clean in there. And Callum Smith knows that. He ran into a stretch in the fight where he got a little greedy, and Buatsi hurt him a couple of times and was able to stay in the fight because of that threat. But at the same time, you have to be able to be a multifaceted fighter. Know when to move out of there, when to slide over to the side, when to tie a guy up, walking backwards, turn him in a counter circle or a regular circle. You have to do things to modify and never just go right along with what the other person is doing. And that's what Buatsi was definitely a victim of, his own grit. You see, when you know nothing else to do, jab. When you want to be defensive, jab. When you want to be offensive, jab. When you want to rest, jab. Now the jab can be varied. You could jab at the opponent's crown of his head. You could jab at his nose. You could jab at his throat. You could jab at his chest. You could jab at the pit of the stomach. Every time one of his punches reaches out toward you, you could stick that left jab out to block. You could catch it. Or as soon as he punches, you could punch with or jab right after with a variety. Mix it up. Double sometimes, triple sometimes, single. You have to have a variety, and not always at the same speed, snap, and pace. Sometimes it has to be quick and sharp. Sometimes it has to be pounding. You have to mix it up. And neither guy, as I stated, were using that weapon enough in this fight. Now, when you think about Smith, who's 6'3", with the 78-inch reach, it should have been like a foregone conclusion. But that's not how he operated in there. Again, still giving the 6'2", 74.5-inch reach Buatsi opportunities. But yet and still, it was such an enthralling fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if they ran it back sometime in the near future, because it was such a good fight for two men who showed a lot of moxie in there, a lot of determination. But it was a close fight. The right man did win. But the vulnerabilities of both tell me that neither of these guys are ready for the two men at the top, which would be Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. But they are game fighters, and they're always going to give you a great show when they step between those ropes. And like I said, I would like to see what's next for both men. Buatsi should come back after he's rested. Those body shots that he took in this fight were very debilitating. And I heard that he may have even taken a trip to the hospital after the fight. Wish him a speedy recovery, because you don't want to see the man who put out so much here be debilitated in the aftermath. But it was a wonderful fight, and the right man won, and I can't wait to see what's next. But what do you think? This is Stormy B Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you thought about this fight between these two UK fighters. Would you like to see it again? I would. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.